Okay, so it's about midnight, and I have suddenly turned into a night owl as of late, staying up till 4 or 5 in the morning because of the work I'm doing online, you know, for Patreon, by the way. Check me out on Patreon and all my merch. But sincerely, if you like my videos, if you follow my videos, please consider helping me to improve the equipment and support me, support my work through patreon.com. You'll find me at Beck Lane. Alright, I did that. It's midnight, and I had planned on putting myself back on a normal sleeping pattern. I'm not sleeping well at night right now, and because I've just been consumed with the Gator project, the one where I'm sending out images of my work for people to have printed on, you know, face masks and gaiters, those long tubey things that I've already shown you 100 times. But I'm filled with absolute fury over a personal situation that I've kind of vaguely touched upon. And all day today I have been just torn to my core over the protests out in Portland. And not just the protests out in Portland, but the audacity of our toddler of a president who sent in unmarked police vehicles filled with truly anti-American, completely anonymous police to run a military state while these people are protesting for Black Lives Matter. Black Lives Matter. But the thing that is killing me today, and I'm sorry I've been in tears most of the afternoon, most of the night, was watching Wall of Mom videos, or Wall of Moms videos, and reading their post. Wall of Moms, it was a group of women who locked arms and put their bodies between anonymous military police and the protesters. And it has sparked a movement now across the country. And it's a movement I have no physical way of being a part of. And I am beside myself because I was built for this. I was absolutely built for this. For social unrest and social change. And my fury, my absolute sheer fury over what is happening is keeping me up at night. And don't tell me not to be furious. We should all be furious. We should all be angry that we are being told to shut up and sit down, take the brutality on the chin, and be good Americans. Good Americans stand up to brutality, inequality, and what we're seeing now, which is just sheer, unadulterated dictatorship. Because military police are being sent out across the country to beat the need to be an American out of people. We've watched young protesters be surrounded by police, one by one, beaten and kicked, have their bones broken, while they're holding peaceful protests. I know that Fox News and, you know, Trump's America is saying they're desecrating government buildings, some spray painting. Some spray painting is no need to brutalize, illegally arrest, kidnap, and haul away people in unmarked vehicles. This is something we've seen in other countries, in third world countries. And we've reacted with, oh, wow, that's awful. That could never happen here. It is happening here. It is happening. And it is going to happen across our country. Because women my age, have locked arms and created a movement. And I can't be a part of it, and it is tearing me to shreds. The only thing I can do is offer images from the painting I talked about in the last video, Making a Way Out of No Way, or 16, which may have been, wrongfully entitled, since there may have been, well, there was 20 some odd people kidnapped, brutalized, and then sold into slavery and started this country into being a wealth of power the world has envied. A tiny handful of people were kidnapped, brutalized, and sold. And their families, their children, the children after them, the children after them, were forced to make money for states and individuals. They built this country. They built our wealth. They built our capital. They built our cities. And we're at a breaking point. Their ancestors are demanding equality, and we have people across the country that are saying enough is enough. They deserve not to be brutalized. And we have a president who is saying, no, we're going to continue brutalizing them. We're going to make them the enemy. Them, they, those people. Those agitators. Those agitators are going to make us better people. And I'm so broken right now. I have a Pilar soul. I have a Pilar heart and a Pilar soul. Pilar For Whom the Bell Tolls. I've been thinking about that all day today. That character, this woman who was so pivotal in that book on the Spanish-American War, on people who went and fought for the for people in the Spanish-American War, to take down a dictatorship that said, shut up and sit down. You aren't a good countryman unless you put up with us, unless you let us brutalize you. I am beside myself. And so I came out here tonight to try and paint. I haven't been able to actually paint in a few weeks because I've been doing all this work online, trying to, I guess, capitalize on all the work I've done for the past 7-8 years online. I mentioned it before, I lost my job. That's a whole nother situation that mirrors what's going on right now in our country perfectly. Perfectly. And I've been going back and forth whether to say any more, make any more comments than vague ones. But it mirrors this Trumpian craziness that's going on right now. Shame, shame on all the people who support him. I feel nothing but disgust and shame for them. And I don't care if you've been viewers or you've been fans. Shame on you. I don't care if you like my artwork. I don't care. I don't care if you like me or hate me. If you support the continued brutalization of Americans who built this fucking country, I don't care about you. This is probably the most serious I'll be, or I ever have been. With every nightstick that breaks a rib or breaks a bone, if you can't empathize with that, I have no fucking use for you. I don't want you watching my channel. Go watch Fox News. Go watch somebody paint little white roses in it. Oh, not white roses. Sorry, because that would be symbolic of supporting the Jews in World War II and being anti-Nazi. We won't say white roses. Because I've done work based on the white rose. But if you are on Trump's side, you are nothing but a brown shirt. And I would spit on you, given half the chance. Today, anyway. 3 weeks ago, I probably would have been a little bit more patient. I had to be. But now I'm out of work. With all the patience and the smiling and the yeses. I've lost my job. I've lost my insurance. I can no longer afford medication that will keep my RSD CRPS at bay. I don't have it in me anymore to be patient with those people. I think anyone that's had to endure abuse, whether it's physical, mental, emotional, verbal, anyone whose life has been threatened, should be able to understand Black Lives Matter. Anyone who's had to endure abuse or the threat of abuse or the threat of their life ending day in, day out, should know, would know, Black Lives Matter is on the right side of history, and we should be behind them. If you don't, you are living in a world of privilege. Christianity is based on a tenet I live by. Most religions live by. the golden rule, and I've misquoted it before, do unto others. Do unto others as you would have them. I'm going to say it right this time. Do unto others as you would have them do unto you. There is nothing Christian about this nation. Nothing. I could say a lot more. But as Juliet Kayyem on WGBH says, or Boston Public Radio says, pace the rage. I've been pacing it for years. I've been pacing it for over 50 years. And like the protesters, I have reached a breaking point. I am done being told to shut up and sit down and be patient. And let's give that fucking abuser another chance. I'm going to try and get some work done tonight. Maybe, you know what, I was going to work on The Shame Is Yours, but I'm so filled with rage right now. I don't want to go into it and make missteps. Almost this entire, as you saw in another video, almost this entire canvas is covered with quotes and lettering. There were only a couple of blank spaces, and I've been trying to work out what I'm going to do. I was thinking starting with orange aerosol, orange aerosol, orange aerosol, maybe some other colors, but I'm afraid of stepping into predictable and typical and mediocre. I'm so afraid that in my blind rage, I will cross over into mediocrity, and I'm not allowing it. So I'm thinking I'm going to take one of my other images, which I have been told no one wants, because they center around African American people, or my drag queen people, or any one of 100 other people that I've painted that are on the fringe. I think I'm going to put this to the side. And maybe paint my young girl, who with every day that this goes on, I have more and more respect for. Certainly more respect for than those white men that grabbed their fucking guns and took over government buildings. Those white nationalists who have been allowed to take to the streets and terrorize people with their guns, take over government buildings, and Trump did nothing. These men grabbed their big fucking AK-47s and guns, took over government buildings, screaming in policemen's faces, and nothing was done. And they went in there with their dicks swinging, their big guns, so their wives could get a haircut. And nothing was done. And here we have people who for hundreds of years have been saying, I am a human being. I live in America. I deserve equality. And our own president is telling them to shut up and telling every supporter of Black Lives Matter to shut up, or we will brutalize you more. I don't even know who we are at this point. This is something that a dictator in a third world country does. This isn't something the President of the United States of America does. Forcing children to go back to school so they can spread disease and illness. Forcing teachers to go back to classrooms so they can go home with a virus that could kill their families. Who are we? So I'm going to sit here in my little studio, and I'm going to go back to tackling this young girl and showing her the respect she deserves. So, hey, welcome to Studio Maine, another state. I'm going to turn my fan on because I'm, super sweaty again. And Patreon for cats or something. I'm going to show her the deserve she respects, since I can't sleep anyway. There's the fan. Enjoy. I was talking to, I want to tell you something. I've gotten a little bit of that off my chest. I was talking to a friend of mine. I call her Lenny. I was talking to a friend of mine, Lenny. She was actually a neighbor of mine up in Central Falls, Rhode Island, just outside of Pawtucket, just outside of Providence. She was a neighbor of mine up the street, and we bumped into each other one day. I'd never met her before. And she's a young black woman. And we were talking about art, and she was like, oh, you know, I'm an artist, but I can't afford anything, all that. Anyway, we talked for quite a while, and we bumped into each other several times after this first conversation, and there was one day I bumped into her, and she was really upset. She was totally and completely bereft because she she was being harassed by the Pawtucket police. Central Falls is only a square mile, and to get to the bus station it's over in Pawtucket. So you really only have to walk at most a mile to get to it. But she was being harassed by the police whenever she was walking to and from the bus station. Central Falls is a poor area. It's big in crime, prostitution, and drugs. Lenny is she's just a working staff. And the police were harassing her and following her and stopping her on the street and telling her to empty her pockets and just humiliating her. And this had gone on day after day. And being that I am Caucasian, I have not experienced that. Not a lot of people bother me. And certainly not police. I've cried my way out of speeding tickets. Been able to do things that I learned my black and brown friends cannot. So Lenny was very upset this one day. And she was telling me she was crying. She started shaking while she was talking to me, and started crying and telling me about how scared she was to drive a car because things had happened to her, things that we now see every single goddamn day in video. Those were happening to her. The police sexually abusing her, the police stopping her because she's driving while black. And this one conversation, I just let her talk. She was, I'll never forget how emotional she was, because she's a pretty calm person, pretty loving, pretty patient, kind, decent human being, hardworking. And I'll never forget her being just literally, physically bent over and choking because she had had enough. And here's something I didn't share with anyone till today. Lenny was the inspiration for making A Way Out of No Way, as well as those, well, I've sworn enough in this video, I guess we're over it. Those fucking Trump signs all over Virginia, and the white supremacists, and the KKK that were out there because they love Trump. You never have to worry about wondering where I stand ever again. They felt Trump was their hero. They still do. That's why they're all these white men who can run around with their dicks swinging and their guns out. Nothing happens to them. Not a thing. So Karens can walk into their local Walmart, cry and whine because they have to wear a mask to keep their fellow citizens safe. Excuse me, I have to go kill a cat right now. Stop. I don't have patience for him either. His crying. So done with these people. I'm just fucking done. Can't even be polite anymore. But Lenny really, besides the idiotic Trump signs and the stupid rebel flag. Yeah, please, let's keep waving a flag for the side that took arms against America and then lost. Let's keep memorializing that little fight. We is a bunch of losers, but at least we hate black people. So Lenny was the inspiration for several characters or faces that I painted. She was the inspiration and actually the model for one of the figures. It doesn't look like her, but she didn't even know I had her in mind when I was doing it. On the left side of the painting is a face that is now like outlined in red, and it has red, basically kind of war paint on her face. And that to me was Lenny. And the look on her face, the expression she gives, was all the fury, all the sadness, all the frustration to lead up to the day that she let me know what her day was like, what her everyday experience in Rhode Island was like. This girl is every woman I know who, in the face of repeated abuse, is still able to come back and stare it in the face and say, "You haven't got me yet." Woman Melanie, who's in the center of that painting, has her finger up like this. She's there not just because she's beautiful, not just because the pose was perfect, but because that woman has so much strength in her. I am absolutely awestruck, as I am with most of the people I paint. I am awestruck by their strength and their ability to continue on. and not lash out at the world every day. But there's a tiny nugget nobody knew till now. I actually painted Lenny. I was talking to her today and I finally got to let her know. She had no clue that I even remembered that conversation. How could I forget it? My friend, my neighbor, someone who didn't treat me like the little old white lady that lives up the street, but spoke to me like I was an equal of hers. I was a compatriot and a friend, instead of someone who couldn't understand. She treated me as an equal in a world that tells her she's not. It takes such strength. But anyway, I'm giving her some images, and especially that one image. It was funny because she picked out that one image that she inspired, and she put it on her Instagram page, and she was like, you know, she was telling her people on her page, you know, about me and about this painting. And that's what led me to finally tell her, this is you. Most of this painting is because of you. Just like my friend who's my white whale, or in my mind, created me, a reason for me to start getting better. She didn't know that for 20 years, my belief, what I thought how I thought she saw me has been my white whale, and then I needed to prove to raise myself up to a better level. She didn't know that. I was also able to tell another old friend, someone I've known since I was 13, 14. She wrote me a compliment. And she said, my opinion probably doesn't matter. We don't really talk very much at all. She was a very good friend, a long time. Someone I really cared for and loved. To go over her house, and I would have nothing to do or say, and we'd end up just sitting there. She'd end up sitting there bored out of her mind with me, but I didn't want to go home to the abuse and the alcoholism and screaming. And I lacked so much confidence that I never knew what to say. I always felt stupid. We stayed at the party too long. So I could avoid going home. And having to deal with the war there. She said, I don't know if my opinion matters. I said, your opinion of me has always mattered. I think that's what I said. At least that's what I meant to say. I don't care about many people's opinions of me or my work. this one woman. I always think of her as being, teenager. But this one woman, I think about every time I post, because I don't want to embarrass her with mediocre work or poor grammar. Made a video a long time ago called "We Don't Know What We Mean to Each Other," and it was what's her name? Meryl Streep, I think it was. Meryl Streep met. It was a story about how Meryl Streep had met Barbra Streisand, and Barbra Streisand had always been one of her idols, and Meryl Streep had always wanted to meet her. I think it was Meryl Streep. It may have been Glenn Close, but I think it was Meryl Streep. And she finally had the chance, and she just gushed like a fan. And Barbra Streisand just stood there and stared at her and walked away. And it really broke Meryl Streep's heart. Here was someone whom she looked up to and strived to be. And Barbra Streisand treated her like a piece of dirt. We don't know what we mean to each other. Hoping on my little stupid videos and ramblings, I hope I make you feel stronger, especially if you feel alone. If you've been told you're nothing, you'll be nothing. You know that you have a friend right here. I'm not just a studio mate. I am someone that can empathize. Back to the Patreon thing. On the Patreon page, I have there's something about me like doing private painting lessons. I don't have a limit on that. Like private painting lessons, private critiques, that kind of a thing. I don't have a limit on it. I'll do it with however many people want me to do it. I don't care. Because I know what it's like to feel alone and to feel like you have no one to turn to, and not a safe person to ask. How am I doing? What would you suggest? I know what it's like. So I don't care how many people sign up for it. I will be there. I'm offering mentoring. I will always be there. But as I said on the Patreon page, and this is what I was getting to, was I don't there we go. I don't critique. Ew, God. Please tell me I don't have this all over me. I do. Jesus. How do I do this every time? That's how. Yeah, that's a good one. Like I said on the Patreon page, I'm sorry, I don't have a mirror out here. I look like one of my characters. Teal. Anyway, as I said on the Patreon page, I don't critique as much as I guide, and I will always be kind. Because there's enough unkind people and painters in the world who feel they're better. You don't need another one. So, there you are. And you know what? We're almost out of time. I guess I've rambled enough, and I've really got to wash this off before it turns into an even uglier mess. Thank you for putting up with me. Thank you for sharing studio time with me. We will try and do this again tomorrow. Do I have more on me? No, just in the places. I do. I look like a Smurf. I'll try and do this again tomorrow. Hopefully I've gotten the rage out of me. Hopefully, and I've said what I needed to say. And once again, if it upsets you, let me make this perfectly clear. I don't give a rat's ass. I don't. And there is nothing you can say that will make me change my mind. There is no insult you can throw at me. There is nothing. I will never acquiesce to hatred. Against an entire race of people that has built this country. I will never acquiesce. I will never join your side. And I don't care what you think. I've had several people come on YouTube and they've been all right-wingy and, you know, I love your work, but I don't care. I block them. I don't fucking care. I've had people come on Facebook. I love your work, but I hate you. I guess you just lost a fan. Oh well, Bob in the middle of Tennessee, you weren't going to buy my fucking work anyway. I don't care. I don't care. So if you have something nasty to say, take it to your right-wing friends. You all can kibitz about how horrible the left is and how much the left hates America. Well, your hero has sent out unmarked police or military police in unmarked cars to beat and brutalize citizens and drag them away to undisclosed areas or whatever places and keep them for an undetermined amount of times, illegally detaining people because they have a constitutional right to protest. That is deeply un-American. So, if you want to tell me how much I hate America, first of all, you're wrong, and second of all, you can suck my dick, and third of all, hit the fucking road. I don't think I've ever been this point blank in one of my videos before, but I really am done. I am done. I'm done being nice. I hope you are too. Anyway, that was fun. And Patreon. If you don't do Patreon for me and for better equipment so you can see me more clearly while I'm ranting and painting, do it for your cats. Hashtag cats. I promise next time I will try not to be so ranty. But go look up Wall of Moms. There's a lot of protests going on across the country. And if you are a mom and you're a grandma and you can get to a city where Wall of Moms is trying to protect the protesters and the Black Lives Movement. Please go, please go, please go. And please take a piece of me with you, okay? Thanks. Ciao.